Hey, what do you say? What do you hear? Thanks for joining me today. Today, I wanted to talk defensive lines in the NFC East. Which team has the best situation for this year and going forward in the future? This is always a big piece of the defense, so I figure this is an important topic. And you know the NFC East, they like to sack the quarterback, they like to hit the quarterback and all that. So this is an important topic once again. So up here you see I have the sack rankings for 2020 by team. You had the Eagles with 49 sacks, third in the NFL. Washington with 47 sacks, sixth in the NFL. Giants with a respectable 13th place with 40 sacks. And the Cowboys, their defensive line stunk. They were 20th, 31 sacks. They got one good player. So obviously, you'll know that the team with the worst defensive line situation in the NFC East is the Dallas Cowboys. They have one good player in my mind, DeMarcus Lawrence. He makes $25 million a year, and he only had 6.5 sacks last year. He's a better player than 6.5 sacks, but he's been inconsistent since getting that new contract. He's never been that same guy that they paid him to be, and I think that puts Dallas in a bad situation. They did address the defensive line in the third round, but third round picks don't generally come in and tear it up. So I think that's going to be one of the big problems the Cowboys have this year is their defensive line is not good. They got linebackers, but their defensive line, it leaves a lot to be desired. I know they drafted Parsons, and maybe they'll rush him some, and that might help a little bit. But still, I still think it's the worst defensive line situation in the NFC East, and I put a lot of that on. I know Parsons will get some of his, but I'm looking at defensive line, and I think they just don't have the depth to to beat out the other teams in the NFC East. Anyways, okay, let's go to the Giants. Giants, their defensive line was decent last year. Leonard Williams is a stud, 11.5 sacks. He's only 27. He's signed through 2023. That was big. That was a big pickup for the Giants. Why the Jets ever got rid of Leonard Williams, I don't know. Typical Jets. They should have kept him. He's a foundational type of player. It was a great pickup for the Giants, and the Giants, obviously have a lot to work with going forward with their defensive line. I expect them to be around the same spot they were last year as far as sacks, 40 sacks, between like 10th and 13th. That's probably how I see them ending the year. And then we're going to go to my number 2 team with defensive line situation this year and going forward. And I would say that would be, for me, the Eagles. Why the Eagles and not the Redskins? Well, I think I have to factor in age on the Eagles. The age is definitely a problem. Not going this year. This year, I think our defensive line will be just as good as it was last year. Especially you added Ryan Kerrigan. He's still had 5.5, 6 sacks last year. He's gonna be a guy that kind of like Chris Long comes in, participates. We still have Brandon Graham, who showed he hasn't slowed down at all. Fletcher Cox is only 30. He's still good. And then we have our 2 young guys, Derek Barnett and Montez Sweat. The reason I want to put the Eagles over the Redskins, to be honest, is because of Derek Barnett. He has been inconsistent. He was a first-round pick, and we expected a lot from him. And the guy hasn't had more than 6 sacks in a season. And he's been a disappointment so far. And he's in the last year of his contract. So, I mean, maybe he'll come around, show us what he can do. Maybe he's a late bloomer. I don't know. But if he has another bad year, I don't imagine the Eagles are going to keep him. And that's going to leave a hole, too, because Brandon Graham's getting old. And, we were counting on Derek Barnett to be a piece for our long-term future. And so far, he's not lived up to the billing. Now, the other positive, though, is Josh Sweat. To me, Josh Sweat has gotten better every year since we drafted him. We will have to extend him if we want to keep him. I do believe he will. He has played good enough for an extension, especially if he comes out this year and shows that he's getting even better. Right now, I think Sweat is a better player than Derek Barnett. Now, I'm hoping Derek Barnett comes in and shows us something this year with a new coaching staff. I don't know. But I do believe this year we'll have the most sacks in the division with the addition of Ryan Kerrigan, and we still have Brandon Graham and all that. So I still think we're a very good defensive line. We're still a top 5 defensive line in the NFL, and we'll see how that goes. But to be completely honest, to rank the defensive lines, I have to put Washington number 1. Why? Because Washington has 3 young foundational players on their defensive line. You got Chase Young, Montez Sweat, and then Derek Payne. And Payne is Darren Payne, sorry. Darren Payne, another first-round pick. And he only had 3 sacks last year, but he had a good year overall. You watch him play. The guy's a player. Montez Sweat, I was a huge fan of. I wanted the Eagles to draft him. Of course, Howie Roseman passed up on him, but it was a great draft pick for the Redskins. And then Chase Young, we all know what he's capable of. The guy's a beast. So they just got 3 guys, man, that to me, I'm just like, wow. These 3 guys, they're going to have for a long time. And it's going to make them have a formidable defense going forward. So right now, I think Washington has the best defensive line situation in the NFC East for the foreseeable future. And for us Eagles fans, I still think the Eagles will address their defensive line going forward each year. I mean, it's not a horrible situation, If Derek Barnett comes out, has a good year this year, then, hey, you sign him an extension, you still got Josh Sweat and Derek Barnett for the future, and you got 3 first-round picks next year to make something else happen. But those guys are getting old, and we're going to have to replace Fletcher Cox eventually. He's only 30, but, he's definitely going to have to be replaced. And then and Brandon Graham's going to be replaced. Those guys could only play so long. And but I do think this year they're still capable of doing a lot, and I think they will. So I think we will lead the division in sacks, but we'll see. But Washington and the Eagles both have, in my opinion, top 5 defensive lines right now. Giants are top 10-ish. That's a respectable place to be. And the Cowboys stink. So anyways, that's all I got for today. Have a good one.